Hey stars, it's me, Shar the Star, and I'm back. Listen, I hope you guys are having a great beginning of your work week, vacation week, whatever the week is for you. I hope you're having a great start at it, right? Okay, so I've told you about the weather here in New York, New Jersey area last week, and we were like 90 degrees. Okay, well, today, 65 degrees. So I am not drinking tea. I'm actually just drinking some lemon water just to stay hydrated. And it's the weather's dreary. It's raining. It's 60 something degrees. We were just at 90, so we'll see. But this is the first week of summer. Summer starts at the end of the week, and we're supposed to have 80s and back to the 90s again at some point. So we'll see. Okay, so I have an update right for you guys. Last week I told you about the story of Ananda Lewis, the MTV VJ that passed away at the age of 52, right? And some of you guys would be aware because she was like the head of Teen Summit. If you remember, we did like Teen Summit, um, MTV. Now we're not talking about the BET 106 in Park. It was kind of the same era, but something different. Well, here's Ananda Lewis. She was beautiful. Again, she passed away fighting cancer at the age of 52. But what most of us didn't know was who is Ananda Lewis' husband? Question mark, right? All about Will Smith's younger brother Harry Smith, as wife and former MTV VJ passes away at age 52. Now I had no idea that Ananda was married to Will Smith's brother. And it says Ananda Lewis is married to Harry Smith, who is the owner and CEO of Smith Global Media. They have a son named Langston, who was born in 2011. Harry Smith is also known for being the younger brother of actor Will Smith, right? Okay, so like I said, I didn't know that. I don't know how many of you guys know it, but I just thought it was something worth updating because, when people leave the limelight 10, 15, 20 years ago, you wonder what happened to them. Like, where are they? Where did they end up? And Ananda Lewis she stayed out of the limelight. And I guess she was living a great life with her CEO husband of Smith Global Media, Will Smith's brother. And we know that Will Smith is a conglomerate of his own. So his brother has a lot to deal with as far as being the head of their Smith Global Media Company, which is great. And so now Ananda Lewis was married and she has a son. He was born in 2011. And I did read allegedly that her one wish going through this cancer was to see her son graduate. And apparently, allegedly, she passed away on the morning of her son's graduation. Now, he's not graduating from high school, of course not. You know what I mean? Um, but she wanted to see him graduate, and I've watched some videos over the weekend with her and him, and he seems to be a very nice young man, well mannered, mild tempered. Um, yeah. And I just wanted you guys to know that. Okay, so moving on. Now, this is, I want to tell you about a story about a young man, right? Now, first, bear with me 1 minute, because the story originally happened in 2021, but he was just now sentenced and everything. And it says teen sentence and shocking family tragedy. Okay, so what we're going to talk about is in Indianapolis, Indiana, a shocking case that rocked Indianapolis in a 360-year prison sentence for Raymond Childs III, who was convicted of murdering six family members when he was just 17 years old. The tragic event took place in January 2021 at the family's East Side residence. Okay, so let me tell you the story. So, apparently, Raymond Childs III took his father's car, like many of us have done, taken our parents' cars without them knowing. But listen to this. He took his dad's car. At some point, the dad realized that his car was gone. So, like most dads, they're going to sit up and wait. Okay. So, when the young man Raymond Childs III, or 17, returned home, alleging in the wee hours of the morning. The dad told him that, he didn't like what he had did about the choices that he was making, allegedly, and that he was going to punish him, but he was not going to punish him tonight. It was early in the morning. He didn't want to be bothered with it. He said he would deal with it tomorrow. Nobody knows what that punishment would have been, but that's what he told him. Well, Raymond Childs decided to unalive all six members of the family in the house instead of being punished the next following day. I don't know what that's about. Diabolical. But yes, here's where I go. He's accused of unaliving his parents, his teenage siblings, and his brother's pregnant girlfriend. Okay. Um, well, one of the brothers who was shot twice survived. So it was seven people. He unalived six of them. One of the brothers lived. Okay. So, this, of course, he was arrested, and he, even with his brother being alive and witnessing what was going on, the unaliving, um, in a packed courtroom, Childs insisted on his innocence, stating that he continued to mourn his family's loss. Every day I think about them, is what he said, maintaining that he was not the perpetrator. Mind you, one of his brothers lived and testified in court that he was the person that did this, but he's still saying that it wasn't him. The judge, however, categorized Child's actions as deliberate and merciless, resulting in a sentence that the effective amount of life in prison. The breakdown of the sentence included 55 years for each person he unalived, including that of the unborn child, plus 30 years for the attempted unaliving of his brother who survived. So yeah, that I mean, what gets me sometimes is someone lived, saw you do this. Your brother, your own blood, watched you or saw you and witnessed somehow, allegedly, of you unaliving the entire family and even trying to unalive him by powing him twice, but he didn't pass. Okay? The prosecutor presented compelling evidence, including digital recordings and physical evidence, alongside a critical eyewitness account from Child's surviving brother. The judge noted Child's lack of remorse as a significant aspect of the sentencing decision. So, because he still said it wasn't him and he had no remorse and says that, he misses his family every day, knowing that he did this, diabolical. Diabolical. And what's up with the kids now unaliving their parents and just, I try to say, listen, this guy, at this point, I tell you that the young people don't value life the way that we or others do. I think they live their lives through a video game where they think that, they pow, 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 and within some time we're going to get back up. And that doesn't happen in real life. And the value of life is just not there. For you to take your dad's car, like many of us have done, and to avoid punishment, you unalive six members of your family to not get the punishment the next day. What did you think was going to happen? Now you're in jail for over 200 years when you could have just took the punishment and dealt with it, whatever that is. I mean, I don't know, guys. I've told you the story about the three young ladies who tried to unalive their mom because she cut off the internet. Then I also told you about the son that unalived his mom because she took his cell phone. Like, this is constantly going on, and the value of life is not there, guys. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. And mind you, this is our future. These are the people that supposed to take care of us and move on with the future. I tell you, I tell you guys all the time, it's just not the same. It's just not the same. Okay, so I know that a lot of you guys, no, I'm sorry, guys. I know that a lot of you guys heard about Portia Williams' settlement from her. I don't know if they actually divorced or not. I'm not quite sure, but nevertheless, Simon, the Badio, her husband or future ex-husband, well, he was caught up into the ICE thing because he's not a citizen, and for the past 3 or 4 months, he's been ICE protection, and now what they did was release him, and now they sent him back to Africa, where he's from. Well, with that being said, there were some problems going on with him and Portia when he was out before the immigration ICE thing, and he wouldn't allow her. She was returning to the housewives of Atlanta, and he wasn't allowing her to film in their home because they were going through a divorce. Well, he once he became locked up and couldn't do anything, that's exactly what she did. Well, come to find out, Portia, right? This is Portia, and this is her soon to be ex husband, not quite sure yet. I just know that the decision has been made, but I don't think that they're finally divorced yet. But this is what has come up for Portia. And when I say mama wins, okay? Because the T is she was awarded $40,000 monthly alimony for the next 15 months. Okay. Mind you, they were only married a year or so, allegedly, like really a year or so. So for her to get $40,000 a month in alimony for the next 15 months, get it. They don't have any children. She does have a daughter. Then he got to keep a Rolls Royce. He brought her as a gift, but then tried to take it back. Well, now she was given that. So she was given the $40,000 monthly alimony for the next 15 months, which adds up to $600,000 for the next 15 months. Okay? Boom. She definitely winning. Okay? Then she gets to keep her Rolls Royce that he tried to take back from her. She has that. Now, when they got married, they bought a home together for $7 million. But I hear them say that it's allegedly they brought the home together, but it was all in his name. I don't know what the story is. But however, she, since he's now was deported out of the country and can't return at this point, Portia now gets to stay in this $7 million home until 2027. And at that point, she can decide either if she wants to give it up for them to sell it and split it, or she wants to stay. She has to buy him out, whatever it's worth at that point. So, I mean, so let's get it straight. She receives $40,000 monthly alimony for the next 15 months, which equals up to $600,000. She receives her Rolls Royce that he brought her as a birthday gift, and he tried to take it back. Now it's hers completely. Okay. Then she gets to stay in this $7 million home for the next 2 years, mortgage free, because he still has to pay the mortgage. And she can decide then if she wants to sell it or keep it. She gets to decide that in 2027. And mind you guys, we're now in 2025. So if you ask me, Portia won. She won. She won. And I think it was a lot of things going on allegedly. Um, um, Hmm. I'm just reading some things and yeah, she did well. She did well. So I just wanted to let you know an update on that. So again, Porsche is winning and there you go. What you gonna do? Okay, so let's go to the Air India plane crash. Now we talked about it last week a little bit, and we know that one person survived out of this plane crash, right? And actually, when they say one person walked away, they actually mean that ish with this one. He actually walked away. They have video and camera and photos of him actually walking away. I'm not saying, excuse me, guys, I'm not saying he wasn't injured in any way, but he was able to walk away from this. The only person that was able to walk away from this. I know that he was saying that he was in aisle 11, and I think he was in row 11 and in the aisle seat. So I'm sure that's going to be a pop. Okay. I think that is going to be one of the most popular seats going on. But then you have to realize what type of planes these was. These was an Airbus. So this is a really big plane, right? So, with all that being said, we know that. Well, did you know just days, when I say days, I mean allegedly 2 days after that, right? There's another incident. There's another incident with this same type of plane, Air India. And of course, the crash was diverted, but something happened to the point where it had to be forced. It had to be diverted because it had a mid-air technical issue. They didn't say what the issue is. Of course, they're going to try to keep that as low as possible because okay, it's too much going on. Air panic. Air India passengers jet forced to divert over mid-air technical issues just days after horror plane crash that killed unalived 270 people. Only one person survived from this. And just days after that, same type of plane had to divert over mid-air technical issues. But again, they're not stating what those technical issues were. But we're going to move right along because we know that this plane was made by Boeing. And we also know that we have issues right here in the United States with aircrafts. Like there's not a week that goes by that we don't have a problem some way, somehow. And we've had crashes and airplanes and private airplanes, passenger airplanes, helicopters. Baby, you could fly a kite. Like pretty much everything is something going down. Real talk. So we've had those issues. Well, a video from 2014 made by Boeing engineers, the people that are building these planes, made a video in 2014, which is now resurfacing because of the crash and different and other issues that they're having. It says a 2014 video shows Boeing engineers admitting they would not fly on the 787 Dreamliner jets they were building. Now, these are the people that are actually putting it together and building. Now, this is allegedly, apparently the video exists and it's true, but I still have to say allegedly. But my thing would be, these are the people that's making the plane, putting it together, and wherever they put this plane to get these planes together, right? And if they're telling you that allegedly the materials are not up to par, a lot of they're cutting costs and they're doing little things, and they say that they will not fly on these 787 Dreamliners, the people that are building them. That's a lot to be said. And mind you, this is 11 years ago. So this is back in 2014 this video was made and now it's resurfacing. And now they're having problems with these 787 Dreamliners, with that one crashing the last week and then another one 2 days later that they had to divert because it was having issues. Now let's go to the United States. We're going to leave India alone for a minute. Now we are aware that the United States have airlines, American Airlines allegedly have put passengers on a plane that I talked about last week that had an oil and engine leak and faulty parts, wrong parts put into the engine. They're flying us around in these planes. And that was the one when the engine exploded and it had to do an emergency landing, and you saw the people out on the wing, standing on the wing, and I remember they wanted to talk about how people are told when you're in an emergency, you leave everything behind. You don't take anything. And of course you have women grabbing their pocketbooks, or if they have a kid, they're grabbing the baby bags. A guy, if my knapsack is under my seat, I'm grabbing that too. Why? Because more than likely that has my passport, that has my money, that has all my identification, that has my credit cards, whatever it is, maybe medication, everything, it has it in there. And at the time of this happening, when the people were standing on the wings, I remember them focusing in on the people and saying, "This is what you do not do during an emergency. When you have to get out of a plane, you leave everything." And mind you, I didn't see anybody up there with a 2 or 3 piece luggage set or anything like that. I saw women with their bags. I saw one man with a knapsack or something. Okay, what's the big deal? But let's focus. Boop, boop, boop. Let's focus. That's not even the problem. The problem is you put them people on a plane that had an oil and gas leak. Also, wrong pieces of material, wrong mechanical pieces of material for the engine. You put the engine together wrong with the wrong machinery and materials. These are things that you are now coming out. So you wanted to focus on the luggage and what they were standing out there, what they shouldn't be doing. What you shouldn't be doing, American Airlines, is putting our lives more in risk than they have to be. Seriously. It's like a bait and a switch. You do something to us, you put our life in danger. And at the time, we didn't know it. So you wanted to focus on what we as customers shouldn't be doing. Girl, bye. Anybody trying to hear that? Anywho, moving right along, I just wanted to let you know how Boeing and how the airline industry is doing. They carrying on. And I must admit, I have to be ready to fly pretty soon, within the next month or two, because it's time. It's time for a trip. It's time to get away. I think we've done our due diligence. My household, like I said, me and Leighton, we steadfast that we weren't going to fly anywhere. It was just too much going on. We've had friends that have gone away and that have arrived back home safely, thank God. But we weren't willing to take that chance at that time. Hold on one second, please. Thank you, guys. Anyway, okay, so we're going to move on. Next story. Now, I'm going to bring this up so we know, of course, you know how I do, as long as we know let me get this propped up, who we're talking about so you can have a visual of what's going on, right? And apparently this happened, I'm trying to remember where did this happen. Oh, this happened in Auburn, Alabama. Okay. Well, a mom and a son was having a disagreement, right? As mom and kid, mothers and sons and dads and sons and sons, we all get into disagreements. That's what we do, right? Well, this son and mother was having a disagreement to the point where the son pulled out a firearm and unalived his mother during a dispute, a home dispute. They didn't say what it was necessarily over, but this is the mom and this is the son that unalived her. And then that was eventually unalived. Now, what happened was he unalived the mom during a dispute, and his older brother unalived him. Okay, a 25-year-old son, Brandon McDuffie, is is to believe to have shot his mom, Tracy, 52, during a family dispute. Brandon then attempted to shoot his older brother. The older brother allegedly shot back at him in self-defense and wound up unaliving Brandon as a result. Okay. The incident took place on Sunday, June 8th. Officers responded to a Ross Street residence after receiving reports of a shooting at around 5:39 p.m. Upon arriving, responding officers found two deceased victims inside the residence. Following investigation, it was determined that the two victims, Brandon and Tracy, alongside a male subject found in the house at the time, were related. Furthermore, police detailed that Brandon fatally shot Tracy McDuffie during a dispute. The older brother, unnamed at the time, discovered what Brandon had done, and as a result, Brandon shot at the older brother, who would allegedly shoot back, fatally wounding Brandon. Okay, and again, I again want to bring to knowledge, like, what's up with the kids unaliving their parents? What's that about? Yo, what is that about? Wow. I tell you again, listen, the value of life is not here. And like I tell you guys, and I need to, I follow it. I mean, even follow it more. I don't get into arguments with these young people. I don't get into disputes with these young people. If they happen to step on my sneaker, so be it. It is what it is. I'm not going to take too much disrespect, but my thing is the things that we normally would just jump in someone's face and argue about. I don't do it anymore because they don't value life. And you want to lose your life for stating something that they did to you or a mistake that was made, someone bumped into you. Instead of arguing, they just pop out you. It's not worth it, guys. It really isn't. It really, really isn't. Okay, so you remember the club, right? In Dominican Republic, right? And it was a very iconic nightclub in Dominican Republic that a lot of celebrities and just people flocked to it. It was really well known, right? Well, the roof collapsed back in April and it unalived 236 people. Well, the owner, well, first of all, the club is owned by a family, but the owner and his sister has been arrested. The charges have not been presented quite yet, but allegedly, the prosecutors are accusing the family of negligence and trying to intimidate and manipulate employees, meaning having them tell whatever story they want them to tell, allegedly. Well, from what I understood, what I found out about this particular collapse, what happened was DR, let's face it, Dominican Republic, many of us have been there. It's very hot, it's very humid. So air conditioning units are definitely needed, especially if you're talking about a club, right? Um, I'm trying to remember what this was before it was a club. I remember telling the story when this happened back in April. And I don't remember exactly because it wasn't meant to be a club. It was actually a theater. Like it was a theater where you go to watch shows and stuff like that, I believe, allegedly. It was something like that. Meaning, um, they did a lot of refurbishing. Okay, so imagine outside the club, outside on the roof, you have three major air conditioning units. Now, these air conditioning units can weigh thousands and thousands of pounds each. So you have three of them, among other things, up on the roof with the weight, right? Then, and remember, this wasn't meant to be a club. This was meant to be a theater, I believe, allegedly. I really believe it was just a theater, then they turned it into a nightclub. So it wasn't meant to have anything other than whatever it was supposed to have. But for a club, you're going to need extra lighting, um, extra everything, fans. Even if you have an air conditioning unit, you have fans that's going to blow the air. So they had all of the, so the air conditioning units were on the outside weighing in. And then in the club on the roof, on the opposite side, inside, you had lighting, strobe lighting, all types of lighting. They said they had fans, they had did all of these things. So the weight from the outside and the weight on inside became too much at some point and collapsed and wound up unaliving 236 people, right? And what they're saying is the family was negligent. The family knew that that was too much weight on the roofs and inside on the ceiling. On that point, they saying that they knew that it was just wasn't safe. They had leaks, and from what I understand, allegedly some of the lights had fell at times during the club, like a light falling down. Now, apparently, I don't know if anyone was injured or not. I didn't see, see or hear that part. Excuse me, guys. Right? But apparently, at some point, lighting at different points, lights were fell. So they knew that there was a problem with holding and keeping things up. That's where the negligence fall. And you knew it wasn't safe. You knew lights were falling. Them lights fall from a roof and hit someone or two or three or four people. It might unalive them. But that's not what we're talking about. It took the entire roof in. It made it all collapse on everyone. So yeah, that's the update now. The owner, the brother, and a sister has been arrested. And apparently, like I said, they were trying to intimidate and manipulate company employees. So we'll find out and see what that's going to end up being in the long run. Okay, so you remember last week, right? And we were talking about the immigration protest that's going on in New York, in LA, and then in Florida, right? And the one in Florida, the president, Mr. Trump, allegedly, but he did. I'm going to say allegedly, but he did because I put it in my story a few days ago that he said that he was going to quote a famous quote from the Black Lives Matter forum, meaning when the looting start, the shooting start. Okay, it sounds crazy. But he tried to pin it on, oh, this was from the Black Lives Matter. So if they used it, I'll use it. But and I also explained in that video that it didn't start with Black Lives Matter. It actually started allegedly back in 1967 when the head of the police in Florida, in Miami, Florida, the police captain, the head of the police force in Miami, Florida, because of it was a holiday back in 1967, and at that time people were protesting for equal rights at that point, and that's what the captain of the police in Miami, Florida, stated back and quoted in 1967: "When the looting start, the shooting will start." Okay. So that's where it came from. And my thing is just be clear about where it came from. Sure, Black Lives Matter may have used it, and that's allegedly, but it didn't come from them. It came from Florida. Well, this past weekend, when they were already expecting the protesters to start protesting immigration rights and ICE and all of those things, the Florida sheriff there that's in charge now, pretty much, I want to be honest, I want to be clear about what he stated, because he's made a few statements, but this one, from what I understand, he actually made this statement um, on live TV, right? And let's go. Come on, come on. Florida sheriff warns rioters ahead of immigration protests. So he was warning them last Friday about the protest that was going to happen between Saturday and Sunday. He said, we're not California. We will kill you and tell your family where to collect your remains. We are not California. Okay. So he said that. So it went back to the Miami thing in 1967 when the shooting started. Listen, I like Florida. It's one of my little favorite little quick spots because it's not far from home and, Miami. And during the pandemic, when I hit a milestone birthday, that's all I could do was go to Miami because we were shut down. Nevertheless, I don't know if I want to be continuing to going back. Florida's off the chain, and their heads, their sheriffs, and the head of the police department, they are rough. When the looting start, the shooting start, and we're not California, we will kill you and tell your family where the remains are. Like, yo, you're bugging. We're talking about protesting, which is legal. There's a way of doing it, but it's legal. Okay, you're gonna threaten the protesters. Because most of the protesters are there to protest. They're not there to loot. They're not there. Of course, there's going to be some bad seeds and some bad apples somewhere, regardless. But that's not what it's about. You know what it's about. But for you to be so blatant to tell people, to tell protesters that this ain't California, we will kill you. Kill me for what? I'm protesting, just as I'm doing in California, just as I'm doing in New York City. Why would you kill me? Why would you threaten that? Why would you put that in the atmosphere? That's letting me know where you are and where you willing to go. I don't know. Y'all guys be careful out there, especially in Florida, because Florida don't seem to care too much about much. I'm being honest with you. They don't seem to care about much. Another statement he said was, "We will kill you graveyard dead." I think once you kill me, I'm a graveyard dead. I don't know any other way of you unaliving me than me being graveyard unalived. Okay? But you're bugging. Y'all wow. And I would hate to be pulled over by an officer that feels this way. Are you kidding me? Something simple as a traffic stop can be deadly for you there. It can be deadly for you anywhere, let's be clear, because this is not only Florida where these officers and stuff feel this way, but realistically, to say it and mean it is bananas. Well, let me tell you what else is bananas. Did you know that your president, Mr. Donald Trump, appointed a 22-year-old former gardener and supermarket worker with no national security expertise as head of the counterterrorism hub? Now, when he was elected his cabinet, we saw some stupid things like retired librarians doing this, and then we have, let's not forget, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., allegedly, but seriously, is a who was, I'll say that, allegedly, a heavy drug abuser. Everyone knew it. Even his family stated when Donald Trump was trying to bring him into the cabinet as the head of the CDC and the health, whatever. This man is not a doctor, doesn't have a doctorate, and he talks like this. Okay. When I heard him talk again last week, he was like, "No, you don't understand because." So, and I'm like, "Excuse me, sir. Could you raise your voice? What are you saying? Kind sir, what are you saying?" He's talking like that. Mind you, again, his own family said, put him, do not appoint him this. Why? Because this is a man that believes that during the pandemic and anything future, keep this in mind, that African American people and Caucasian people should have separate vaccines. Now, don't get me wrong. I like to be looked up to, and he seems to try to move it over by saying that African American people is something about us that we're strongest, allegedly. Okay, so he says that the vaccines should be separate. They should have one, and we should have one, which is crazy as all out hell. We are human beings first. Okay, we all have headaches. We all bleed red. We all have it. So why would we have two separate vaccines? So now we're segregating medicine and vaccines. This is who you put here. Okay, so well, you do know that he fired a whole 17 panel of doctors and scientists who um, tells the CDC, as far as we get our flu shots and everything every year. These are the 17 panel of doctors and scientists, allegedly, that tells the CDC what types of vaccines we should have or what we need. Just putting the numbers, professionals, people that this is their job. This is what they do. Well, Robert F. Kennedy fired all of them, all 17 of them. And I told you then, we are in trouble. Right now, we have different diseases and things that pop up you know, and these are the people that says, you know what, such and such, they know the medicine behind it and the science behind it. Hopefully, they know better than we do. How about that? And definitely better than Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Let's be clear about that. Okay. Um, I can't. Mr. Trump just did anything. Well, now again, he appointed a 22-year-old former gardener and supermarket worker to be the head of counterterrorism hub. That's like putting, because I'm even giving it too much credit at this point. That's like putting a school crossing guard who doesn't have any expertise in law, um, anything, firearms, hand-to-hand combat, none of this. This is the fire. This is allegedly. This is me. This is like putting a school crossing guard who crosses your children and you across the street. That's the only thing that they do at that point. Maybe put up a stop sign or two. Okay. You put a school crossing guard in charge of the CIA or the FBI. Why? For what reason? They know nothing about that. So now you appoint a 22-year-old. First of all, a 22-year-old shouldn't be appointed to any cabinet. If you ask me, there's not enough life experience, and you haven't gone through enough, and you haven't learned to technically think in different ways than just your straight way of seeing by judging what you see. Okay, so I'm letting you know we in trouble, guys. We are in trouble. Listen, I love you guys. I want you guys to be intentional. I want you to be in the know. I want you to check on those strong friends and check on your loved ones, and let's bring the love back, guys. We have to. During the pandemic, everybody was in love. Now that everything opened back up, the kids are pow-powing their parents left and right. Um, listen, Listen, guys, we have to get it together. We can no longer hide our heads. And we started off the first few months of this year saying, oh, we're not as this and this. We're not going to do much. We're going to just hide our heads in the sand and let y'all deal with it. But I don't know. I don't know about that. We might have to start being involved again, kids, because you know they can't do it. Um, but a 22-year-old who worked as a gardener and worked in a supermarket, not even security at a supermarket, worked at a supermarket, to put them in as the head of counterterrorism? What in the world would they know about that? Yeah, we in trouble, guys. Listen, I love you guys. I want you guys to be strong. And again, like I said, you're going to see more and more of me. I know I cut back on some stories, guys, to be honest with you, because everything is gloom and that's gloom and doom at this point. And I don't. That's not what I want to bring you all the time. I don't want to bring that all the time. If I'm telling you 8 stories in a show, right? 2 or 3 of them may be about unaliving one way or another, but not 6 out of 8. That's too much. I'm supposed to take you away from your regular bull crap right you're listening to me. I'm supposed to make you laugh and tell you something you didn't know, but this gloom and doom is doing me in. I love you guys. I will see you soon, and until next time, love you. Peace.